Not getting any feedback if you guys can hear me or not. Okay, good. That's good. Things locked and I cannot turn my camera, so that's not so good. Glitches and all, that's what happens when you're doing your first live and you think you got it figured out and you had no clue. So I just got a little fire going because we had a rain and snow just a little bit here, as you can see. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me and putting up with the glitches. Just to welcome to all the new subscribers and all the faithful people out there. And this shelter, I already had a couple of questions, so I'll address those while I'm starting. This is not a survival shelter, as most of you can tell. And I'll just point out the reasons why. First of all, as you can see, the poles aren't tight together in there. You would never do that. And it would not support the weight in the wintertime of the snow. It's definitely not strong enough. It's just a break shelter. If I were to be doing a survival shelter, especially with the dangerous wildlife around, there's just no way. So it's just a fun thing. Like that's what my channel is about, a fun thing that everybody can do and not get hung up on survival techniques. The other thing that I wanted to address was why didn't you find these history finds earlier? How come you're just finding them now? Well, because this land never had any access. It didn't have a tree cut on it. It didn't have a driveway. There was nothing here. So there was no way to find that out until you actually start homesteading. So that's why I'm just finding it now through cutting, and it takes a long time to clear a homestead when you're starting from scratch. So I'll just check here if I got any questions before I go to the next thing. Okay. All right, so let's address some of the things on the agenda. Hi, Jim. Hi, Henry. Hi, Krista. Hi, everybody. I, the things on the agenda that I had was first the birdhouse. You remember in the video, what could go wrong, the bear shenanigans in the birdhouse? Well, nothing came to the birdhouse. I put it up too late. There's a squirrel chewing on buds now. He'll probably stuff some buds in there. He can't live in there. And contrary to popular belief, squirrels nest in the ground, not in the tree. So I don't have to worry about that. Maybe in the spring, now that the birds will get used to it because I put it up too late, there might be something. There was a warbler egg near there, but I can't prove that it came out of that house. The other thing was the eggs for the hens. Remember taking 10 chances and letting them out? And I found the chicken. She was on 5 eggs. She stayed on them for the required amount of time, which I thought was the 21 days, but nothing happened. Then it got colder, so I moved her and prepared her to see if they would hatch. And then she got down to 2 eggs because obviously she determined they weren't any good. And then it got colder, and I think that's what caused the problem, and none of them hatched, which is good because it was October the 6th before she got off the eggs. Way too cold to have new chicks. So either my rooster is too old or it's just the cold weather. So that's the updates on those two things. And is there any other questions about those other videos? If not, let's go on to some of the things that I found. Okay. You all recall this picture of the strap hinge. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it a little closer, and the spikes. Some of them are bent, and some of the bolts are in there. Well, I did find 2 of these, and they're fully intact. I mean, this one's bent a little bit here, as you can see. I don't know if it was around something or it just got twisted. The other one is straight on both ends. And you can see that the tops are fairly flat on the spikes here. What I found out was basically that they're machine made, probably from 1920s to 50s, at a time when you could order them from Eaton's and Simpson Sears, if anybody remembers those stores. And because they were near some square lumber like deal, then timber frame, I think that they were on a building there. Now, if anyone has seen any like that in their time, leave a comment, let me know. The bent piece went around the corner, you think? Yeah. The weird thing is, I'm not sure if, because the other one wasn't bent, so I don't know if it got bent when it got shoved into the tree or not. But what I'm gathering is that this would have been from a building. So, yeah, and it could very well be because it is bent pretty, like you guys can see here, like you said, it is bent pretty straight. You can see how it's almost made to be bent that way, isn't it? So you could be right about that. And it would have been used on one of the buildings in the timber frame. Now, I'm sure that I could probably stay online if I move around. I'll take you over and show you some of those timbers after. The other thing I found was, if you look at the pictures, they should be up online now. I'll take you down. Hopefully I don't lose cell service. I don't think I'm going to. I'll just show you around here. Just brush piles and whatnot, and I'll take you down to where I found the conveyor. And what I'm thinking is the handle on it was a brake handle, because I actually, as you can see in one of the photos, found the engraving for brake. And according to the font style and the raised lettering, it is supposed to be 1920s to 1950s. Oh, by the way, to interrupt this story as I'm walking, right down here, under the snow, is where I found the rabbit paw. Believe it or not, the gray wolf or the fox caught a rabbit, and all it left was the paw. I'm saving the paw because I'm going to cure it and make a lucky charm out of it, because there is no chance that I would have ever seen that under the snow. It was meant to be, and I think it's good luck. So that's the story behind the paw. It was an actual kill from the night before. I won't show you because I don't know what YouTube's policy is in that, and some people may be uncomfortable with that kind of thing. So let's go through here. And you can see, if you look around, you can see the trees aren't very old here because it was scraped off. And there are some spruce and pine that are probably 30 to 40 years old. Any questions? Now the funny thing is, the animals, they follow these trails through all this metal. You think they would stay away from it, but they don't. And here's the conveyor, everybody, that you saw that I found. And there's that handle down there. And it has the brake sign on it right here. And everything it seems to be intact, but there's no way that I can get that out of there. It's buried in the ground too much. But what I'm finding out is, if you look at the pictures, this would have been the conveyor to bring the wood up in through a sawmill. And that would have been the brake to kind of control the pressure and control the movement of what was going in to the mill. The problem I'm having is that I don't know if all of this was recycled from a mercury mine or if it was built here on its own. I don't know, because the mercury mine is quite a few kilometers away. It was dismantled in 1970, and about 1,000 people lived there in the time that it was running. And some of the timber frame houses were moved over 100 kilometers to new locations, believe it or not. And I'm wondering if, even though these parts are from the 40, 50 era, did they get moved from the mine when it was dismantled and the mill was only here in the 70s, or was it before? If you guys have an idea about that, it is mild steel frame. It's obviously not forged in a blacksmith shop or anything like that. If you've seen old sawmills or anything like that, do you think that it was built new, or do you think that it was coming from recycled materials? Yep, this is a full-time property. Like, this is a lot. I'm surrounded by crown land, and this lot is bounding crown on all sides. So I live here in this weather and these conditions all the time. It's just that this is the far, far back end. Like, if I show you this way, the property keeps going and going out into that lake down there. So that's what I'm working on, is trying to make the line clear and get access to each part. Now, I don't know, does anyone think that they would recycle mercury mining equipment? I mean, I understand that mercury is kind of dangerous. I don't think that they would do that, would they? Or is it possible that not all parts were exposed to that and it doesn't matter? That's what I'm thinking, but I'm wondering why. As you can see here, here's more metal here, like under trees and stuff. I'm just wondering why there was so much metal. Like, the building wasn't made out of metal. I mean, it had timber frame, it had a tin roof. The boilers were a lot heavier. We saw the pipes that I found for the exhaust for the boilers. But what is this metal? That's the confusing part. The environment as they do now, I guess. And the mercury as well. We needed it at wartime, so I mean, it just baffles me as to, and I can't, and the best way to find out history is through deeds. So it's very hard to trace that, because the deeds aren't telling me. Usually, like, East Coast deeds are much better. They'll say, bounded by the homestead of so-and-so, whose father was the father of. It doesn't do that here. It just says crown land. So I can't really, unless I go to them, I can't really find out things I found out on the history part. Here in my little notebook, guys. Let's see what else it says here. Little smoky fire there. It says that most likely none of this is pre-World War II. And that the cast iron lettering was from sand casting on the brake pad. It would have been from 1910. And they're saying that the fully steel frame conveyors would have been after the 1920s. And the steam boiler, that they were used to create electricity in the mill. And they're saying that the exhaust from the boilers would waste and heated the water to create the steam to run the mill. And they likely had a had a kiln in there to dry lumber, or in the wintertime keep the workers warm. That's why I'm finding pieces of the building. So they're thinking that the mine, like with all this data and running it through stuff, that it was probably a mill from the 1930s and 50s, but since has been dismantled because a lot of the territory here in different places that have forest roads have already been cut, and most of the trees like are only 40 years old and not big enough for harvesting. So that's probably why, and like the change in times too, everything going more mechanical than it used to be. Now I should take you over to show you some of the timber frames that I found. Thanks, Ruby. You go ahead. That's Ruby. She stopped in for a moment from her job, which I appreciate. Just walking through the trail here, guys. There hasn't been any animals around. It's just rabbits, a couple of rabbits. Thank you for sticking with me, Henry and Krista. At least I have a couple people faithful here. Thank you so much. And here's where I found the cable. Here's the pipe. Here's one of the pipes we talked about. That would have been in the boiler. They're saying mild steel. That's why its patina is like that. And there's the cable I found right there. And you can kind of see the remnants of a skidder trail. And over here's where some of the timber frame was buried in the moss. They're saying that the theory from the moss, that's the amount of moss that's on it and everything, that it's probably been under the ground 60 to 80 years. But right in here, I've been cutting. Kind of got the snow covering it now, but there's a lot of beams like down here. I don't know if you can see that. These beams that are rotting in the moss here that have the red inside. And there's a whole bunch of them here from the building that was pushed over. The other interesting thing that I found out, that is after part of the mill was shut down, it was also used as a target practice range military thing, because I have found, to prove to that fact, 2 trees that I sawed up in my mill have lead bullets in them. And unfortunately, one of the lead bullets, it was on the bottom of the log, so I sawed through it. I meant to post a picture of that to show you. So that's what happened with the remaining timber building that was standing. They actually used it. Probably that's why it was probably like a camp and shooting range or gun club, and that's probably why there were different things around that stayed a lot longer on the surface, because it hadn't been too long ago that it was used for that. Does anyone have any questions? Just squirrel tracks, see? Lots of rabbits moving in because I made brush piles. I don't see any tracks here, maybe there. Yeah, right there, there's a track of a rabbit. But mostly, as you can see, because it was storming, nothing has gone through the snow. The sun's going down. But tonight, you'll see a lot of activity because there's lots of things going around. So that's what I got to share on the history part. And if anyone has any like ideas they want to leave in the comments below what they think, or if they've been around this kind of stuff, that they know more things about the history, the metal, the items, I'd really like to learn from you and see what I can put together. But those photos that you see on my page post are what the research is saying that it probably would have looked like. Because anything that's on my side, I am going to leave on the boundary line, like for markers. I'm not sure if I got to determine if the material is safe, because apparently if it did have mercury exposed to it and it hasn't, I mean, it should be all gone by now, but if you heat metal or cut into it, it makes the vapor from that come back. So you have to check for, there's beads and bubbles and a certain type of weld that it will show if it's still contaminated. So, but the hinges, definitely, they were just on the building, and I'm definitely keeping those because they were on my side. Anything that's on the ground, I'm not going to touch without their permission, without even consulting them first, just out of respect and stuff, because I just think that you need to leave things the way they are. They were meant to be that way, I guess. And if they decide that they're going to come in and clean it up, maybe they will once they find out about this. I'm not sure. That's what I plan to do, is keep those hinges. Whether I might just make a museum, because I don't know if I have a building big enough to hold those hinges. But I'm probably just keep them like my bottle. I know it's not one of those really exciting hey moments, but I just wanted to share that with you. It's so much easier than typing it out and talking it out. So like just doing a video like this is much better. And I want to get some practice at trying live. Now I know that a couple of glitches that didn't work out. I even sent my orientation for landscape and it refuses to go. It wants to do portrait. Oh, well, let's just go with the flow. Any more questions about anything? Hi, Ruby. Let's look at my notes and see if there's any more history part there that they told me about. Has anyone ever been around an old mill like that old? Like that they've ever seen one functioning? I've seen one with the older blades, but not that old. This is my fire going down there. See, that's the thing about the smoke. Now, luckily, it's further away. But again, the shelter built in the wrong direction, because if that was directly in front, I'd be smoked out for the night. No more questions? That's the thing about history and stuff. We tend not to talk to our elders as much as we should. I mean, I always have tried to, but that's very important to do, to pass on the knowledge, because there's so many things that aren't written in a book. To appreciate your grandparents, your great grandparents, because they have a lot of wisdom and they have a lot of knowledge. So if I can ever pass on something good out of this video, is to stay connected with those people. It's hard when you're young and you're a teenager because you think it's boring. And in school, they teach you history, but it's world history, it's different things, and we're kind of not really interested in it. Well, at least I wasn't. I was interested in community history, and I think they need to bring more community history, and then maybe people would have more interest in learning those things. But that's my thing. Thank you, Henry. Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys could come and show up for my first live, and thank you. I know it's nothing spectacular, but just wanted to pop on and say hello to everyone, and thank you so, so much for being here. And Krista and Henry, Ruby, and Matt for the chat and everything and your points. And like I say, if there's any questions I missed, I'll get back to you on those. So what I'm going to do is just chill out here for a while, watch the sun go down, and probably end up turning on my lantern here, which just got a little battery in there, and it's probably not going to even show up. Look, see, look, camera action, nothing. And it did work before you came. So thanks, everyone. Thank you very much. And support one another. Everybody check out each other's channel. Thank you, Krista. My subscribers keep going up and down by one. They never seem, it seems like there's a, you ever watch The Price is Right where the guy's going up the hill and you got to guess the right price, and if not, he falls off? Mine goes up, down, up, down. It's just a teeter-totter, but thank you. Someday I will get there. So thanks, everybody. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for joining me. Have a great weekend, everybody. I know it's only Thursday, but enjoy yourself. And just let you see that sunset before you go away there, shining through the trees. Cheers. Bye for now. Thank you, Matt.